With the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting was provided on December 10th, 2024, by sending written notice and electronic notice to the Courier News and the Breeze, posting on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the township clerk. Madam Clerk, when we have the roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Here.
Councilman Cordilla? Here. Councilman Pedroso?
Here.
Councilman Ring? Here. President Nogales?
Yes. Councilman Ring, could I ask you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. Minutes for approval. We have minutes for December 19th and January 2nd. There was a modification to the January 2nd minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to opine on those? If so, may I have a motion on December 19th and January 2nd, please?
Motion to approve those minutes.
Thank you. Second, please.
I'll second it, Howard.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved. Moving to council reports, we're going to start with Mr. Ring.
Thank you, sir. Very brief report tonight. Earlier this evening, I attended the Township EMS Advisory Committee meeting regarding the future of EMS in Bridgewater. And then the only other item, and I may get in trouble for this, but I would be extremely remiss if I did not extend a happy birthday to Mr. Corsini today.
We sing?
No, please.
There's,
Appreciated. There's no need to sing.
My family has a tradition. We sing to each member.
If it's good for the Nogales, it's good for me, but
Okay.
I did
Happy
have,
birthday.
thank you. Appreciate
I
it.
did have 2 telephone conversations with him today, and I forgot to wish him a happy birthday. So,
Your wife
Okay.
is tomorrow. So.
yes,
Was that it, Tim?
that's it. Yes.
Alan, would you go next, please?
Okay, other than wishing Chris a happy birthday, I do not have anything to report at this meeting.
An excellent report. Thank you. Philippe?
Thank you, sir. We did have the first Somerset Regional Center Partnership meeting, which Mr. Pappas and I were in attendance. I can report back that absolutely nothing of eventful happened at that meeting. I do have a couple questions as follow-up. Is there any news on the drone situation? Does the administration know anything of new?
No, the only thing that I'm aware of is I was informed that the FAA had issued some sort of a moratorium that I believe expires tomorrow, a 30-day moratorium, and I don't have any more information other than that.
If it's helpful, unrelated to this, but I attended a meeting today where a representative of the FBI gave a very brief update that I'm not sure I could summarize it because I'm not really sure what the update was, but there are also reports that the new administration will release the report next week.
Okay, well, there you go. Also, is there any update on the water situation and the odor? And I know that NJ American Water released a report that there was a chemical leak out of a company in Branchburg, and they associate that with the water. But then there was really nothing else that followed up. Are we aware of? Is the water, is the situation back to normal, or what's the status of the water?
All I've heard, and periodically the New Jersey American Water does send written communication. Last I can recall is that they indicated that they thought things were pretty much back to normal. We have not gotten any complaints from anyone in town recently. I could certainly follow up and see if they have anything new, but last report that I received, they said that they thought the issue had been addressed.
Obviously, like every other resident in Bridgewater, I followed that situation closely. I thought I wasn't very pleased with the way it was handled. I think information wasn't provided very quickly. We were told in vague terms that the water was passing minimal NJDEP standards, whatever that is. I doubt the NJDEP tests for every chemical under the sun, so they test what they have to test, and there was obviously a concern going on that people were obviously worried about. I know that Somerset County initially reported to that site, to the, I guess, the leak site in Branchburg. From what I read, the Somerset County unit reported there when they were aware of it. I don't know why that information wasn't then passed on to the water company. Like, it just seems like the dots weren't connected, or if they were, the public wasn't informed. I just feel like the whole thing and the wasn't really handled expeditiously, or the information wasn't really provided enough to the public. I don't know what we can do about it, but I certainly wasn't happy about that. And the last thing I want to say is, I guess we do have a new president. Well, I guess the president again being sworn in, Donald Trump, on Monday. Congratulations to President Trump. I wish him well the next 4 years, and look forward to the upcoming administration. Thank you.
Councilman Kirsch, please.
Yes, thank you. So back on January 7th, the planning board met and reorganized with Mauricio Vesio continuing as the chair. I heard two cases, either the third or fourth hearing for Chick-fil-A. The case was completed and was approved with conditions. There was considerable discussion about traffic impacts and safely getting people on and off that property. When I state that property, I'm referring specifically to what was the Ruby Tuesday over by the plaza with the Wegmans and the Home Depot. And then also approved what I'll just simply refer to as compliance matters related to Avnos, a very interesting company operating over on Milltown Road across from the park. They have some really cutting edge technology designed to improve air quality, and they are based here in Bridgewater. From there, later that same evening, I attended a reception for the swearing in of our newest Board of Ed member, Jeremy Lee, which allows me to then tell the broader story that the Board of Education also reorganized on January 7th, swore in its members, reelected Jen Logren, who's here with us, A.J. Joshi, and the previously mentioned Jeremy Lee sworn in for the first time. Steve Singer was named president for the year. Emily Calistri will be the vice president. And then the zoning board met and reorganized last night. Jeff Foose will continue as the chair. And they had two residential cases, an addition on Middle Road, and then a rebuild of a fire-damaged home on Coriel Drive. Interesting situation and illustration of really the Bridgewater spirit. This room was largely filled with people for that meeting. Ordinarily, when a room is filled for a land use board meeting, that may not be the best of situations. This was essentially the entire Sunset Lake community coming out in support of that family and their efforts to rebuild their home. Coming up January 28th, the Starbucks application is back. There were concerns about traffic in and out of their proposed drive-through. And then finally, I'll just mention that we are in dog and cat license season, so the humans have until January 31st to register their dogs and their cats. And certainly you wouldn't want to create any stress for them that might impact their napping schedule. So get your dog and cat licenses completed, and that's my report.
Thank you. My report, and I welcome everyone to the first regular meeting of 2025. And if you're keeping track, there are 25 council meetings until Christmas. Mark your calendars. Jersey Central Power continues to install smart electric meters in their service area. I have been advised that they are using a subcontractor by the name of Wellington exclusively. At one point in the past, I thought there would be a combination of JCP&L and Wellington, but it's now Wellington only doing the installation. So the person who shows up at your home will probably be in a white van. It will say Wellington on the side, and there should be no reason for Wellington employees to enter your home. I continue to receive very negative verbal road condition feedback from residents using Country Club, Meadow, and Van Holten, especially for school access. The issue is the PSE&G gas line replacement project. The trenches, in many cases, have settled, causing ruts. In other cases, patches were raised in anticipation of settling. That did not happen. I have been reminded that the town has invested millions of dollars in road work. Tom Genova and engineer Bill Burr continue to work with PSE&G to confirm that not only what they're going to do to fix the major ruts, but to confirm the dates in the spring when the effective roads will be repaved curb to curb at PSE&G expenses. At the request of SJP Management, that's the office complex next to Ethicon on Route 22, Mayor Mensch, Administrator Pappas, Deputy Administrator Stevens, and I had a tour of several SJP buildings. It's no secret SJP opposes redevelopment of the Ethicon site, and it is confirmed as of yesterday that they will intervene in the township redevelopment effort for the former Ethicon property. More to follow on that issue. But speaking of the former Ethicon property, you will recall back in November, we declared it as in need of redevelopment. The state of New Jersey gets to opine on these issues, and on December 26th, Mayor Mensch received a letter from the Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs that they agreed with the property in question and that it is consistent with the state objective for redevelopment. The Municipal Alliance Committee meeting in January was canceled as the council reorganization date prevented seating of membership. The meeting will resume on February 5th. I have been discussing the stop sign at the Talamini and Country Club intersection with Director of Municipal Services Genova. The location has had several accidents over the last couple of years, including one fatality. Mr. Genova has asked the Road Project Committee to evaluate the issue, and at their meeting earlier this week, the group decided on a dual approach. The first is to replace the Talamini stop sign with a larger one, which is often seen in Somerville. The sign has been ordered. The second part will take a little longer and involve a street light installation at that T intersection. It's been deemed overly dark, and that may have been a contributing factor. That is my report. Mayor's report, please, Mr. Pappas.
Thank you. Mr. Nogales, I was going to report about the PSE&G gas main replacement on those roads. Thank you for summarizing what
Here to serve.
I've said. Yes. The primary item that I'd like to address the council with is a subject that concerns affordable housing. We, as you know, have a number of municipally owned parcels in town. One of them is on Route 202-206. A number of years ago, it had been purchased with Affordable Housing Trust funds, and the council has received today a draft ordinance prepared by Mr. Corsini's office. I think Mr. Savo particularly or specifically prepared it. I have a hard copy of a memo that he prepared that is distributed here, hard copy, and as well as via email earlier. We are recommending that the council consider an ordinance introduction that would permit the transfer of that property to a private concern that has extensive experience in constructing small affordable housing units, and we would ask for your consideration. As I said, I distributed copies through Mrs. Karanja earlier today, and would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I think this is a very worthy project, and I would suggest that you prepare it for introduction at the next meeting. And well prepared. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes the list of reports. We now move on for proclamations number 7. There are none. Moving to item 8, presentations, there are none. And now we're at item number 9, meeting open to the public. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will be allowed 2 minutes to speak unless there are unusual circumstances. May I have a motion to open to public, please?
So moved.
Can we have a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're now open. Come on up if you wish to. There's a sign-in sheet for you. Please give us your name and address and tell us what you're interested in.
Thanks, everyone. It's my first meeting here, and didn't bring anything prepared, but 2 stories I wanted to tell you. First of all, to hopefully brighten up the start of the new year for you guys.
What's your name?
Manish Patel, 41 Schaefer Road, Bridgewater, New Jersey.
Is that your first or last name? Mr.
Manish is my first name,
Manish, thank you, sir.
and I've been here 21 years, and loved every second of it, and my kids loved it. Graduated from the high school, and hopefully continue to do well based on what they got out of it. Story number 1 is a couple of years ago, we were supposed to relocate to Massachusetts, to Boston. And it seemed like a good idea at the time, but circumstances in life changed that direction, and we ended up staying here. But even when we were thinking of it happening, we said, what do we do afterwards? Because we didn't want to live in Massachusetts forever. We said, we want to come back to New Jersey. Where do we want to live? We wanted to come back to Bridgewater, right? And so that's how much this town means to us, personally. We keep talking about, well, kids are gone, time to downsize, time to move to something else, somewhere else. And quite honestly, we love New Jersey, and of course we love Bridgewater. Where else can you ski, surf, hike, and do many other things within an hour's drive? And fly anywhere in the world, of course, too. Second story is a friend's story. His son lost his wallet at the Bridgewater Mall. Teenager, typical, of course, right? Everything in it, ID, cards, all kinds of things. A Good Samaritan found it, turned it into the Bridgewater Police Department. Bridgewater Police Department looked him up, called up the Hillsborough Police Department, dropped it off there. Hillsborough Police Department returned it to the kid within 2 days. So, these are great stories, right, about that make me want to stay here in Bridgewater. And that's why I'm here tonight. Normally I'm not able to, but I appreciate you having this meeting. Appreciate all of you always showing up, rain or shine, I guess, and snow. But, my main thing that I want to ask about, and it's really an ask or request for hopefully future consideration, discussion. Mr. Pedrosa mentioned, I think you did mention the new business opening up on Milltown Road, or it was you. I couldn't tell.
Well, it was my comment. Not that new. Well, I mean, they had their ribbon cutting probably last summer,
Okay.
and it's Avnos, A-V, like Victor, N-O-S.
And we're gonna see obviously a Chick-fil-A, and then I heard something about a Starbucks asking for something too. I read something there as well. All well and good. And the question I guess I have is, and the reason that Bridgewater is so great, New Jersey is so great, is a reason that most people don't like, which is high taxes. I consider, the comparison of Bridgewater to Oklahoma a comparison of Costco to Walmart. You go to Costco for value. I'm pretty sure most people here have a membership. You go there because of the quality of what they give you, and it may not always be the least expensive choice, but it's going to be the best value, right? If you go to Walmart, you're going to get price. You're also going to get what you pay for. And that's what I always tell people that complain about their taxes in New Jersey. And so I'm not going to complain about the taxes. How about that? What I am going to ask, though, is what are additional activities that are occurring to either attract, retain businesses, because I don't know what the fallout is of the J&J Ethicon changes, closings, whatever they're calling it. And also, of course, we lost Sanofi to a neighbor, northern neighbor, not even they moved to North Carolina or something. So, and I'm here as a citizen. You guys have my info. I'm more than happy if there's like a community group, a citizens group that's here to help you guys on trying to attract business. What can we say to people, that we have relationships that would, be of benefit to come to Bridgewater? Like Trenton used to be, Trenton makes it, the world, and that sort of saying, how do we get our Netflix? How do we get our Lionsgate and Wrigley and that sort of thing? What are the things we can do? And I don't need answers now, but
Mr. Pappas, maybe you can share the economic development information with him, after the meeting, give him your business card or something. If you see, Mr. Pappas, we do have an economic development committee that works to help assist and identify activities, and that sounds like something you would be interested in, so.
it would be, thank you. And of course, I've gotten more involved canvassing and campaigning. And of course, I always hear about taxes. And of course, living here long enough, everyone complains about taxes. But a lot of the people who complain about it, also have a second home at the shore. So a lot of contradictions there. But at the same time, what can we do to make sure Bridgewater, maintains its standard, remains competitive with the surrounding towns, and of course, with what standards New Jersey has set for everybody.
And thank you for your continued residence in Bridgewater.
Thanks.
All right. Next, please come forward. Ms. Geiger, our frequent flyer. Good evening.
Yes, I am a frequent flyer. My name is Joan G. Geiger. Good evening to the members of the council, to Grace, I'm going to try, Nguana? Okay. Members of the audience and those watching on video. It's my understanding that you are going to be addressing some really important issues regarding the affordable housing with respect to the January 31st. Well, you're going to be addressing those issues on January 30th in 2 weeks, and with respect to the upcoming deadline on January 31st relating to that. So I just wanted to put on the record some questions that I have, and I think probably other members of the public have, and I want to make it very clear that I'm pretty sure your intent is to answer those questions next week, or in the next meeting, because they can't really be answered quite yet. So those questions are the following. I think we all know that the state's requirement is that Bridgewater add 474 affordable housing units over the next 10 years by 2035. And Bridgewater now has 2 weeks left to provide the state with its own calculations, in other words, to challenge those calculations as to how the state's formula should be fairly and correctly applied to Bridgewater. So the questions are, and again, I want to emphasize that I think you're going to be answering them. Who is in charge of providing the state with Bridgewater's own calculations to determine the number of units that the town should add by 2035? What progress has been made? How prepared is the town to submit its calculations to the state by January 31st? It's only 2 weeks from now. Do we have an estimate of how many units the town believes the number should be? In the past, Bridgewater has successfully challenged the state's formula based on criteria that was wrongfully included in their formula, such as considering roads and green acres as land available for required units. Are there any similar problems with the state's current calculation? And if so, what are they? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Geiger. Ms. Geiger had spoken to me about this issue earlier, and she asked me if I was concerned. I'm going to tell you what I wrote to her. I said, I, as a resident and as a councilman, am very concerned about the affordable housing requirement being forced on the town by the courts. However, I need you all to be patient until the meeting on the 30th, when the council will formally reply via resolution. Rest assured that this topic has the full attention of the council, the administration, and our affordable housing consultant who was engaged early last year. Is there anything either Mr. Corsini or Mr. Pappas would like to add related to this topic?
We continue to work on it, especially Alex Fisher from my office. It's a multi-year project for us, involving many different facets, and we will, whatever resources are available will be made available, so.
The only thing I would point out is Ms. Geiger and other people have been given the impression that the figure that you quoted that was produced by the Department of Community Affairs is an identified number for each municipality or Bridgewater. That's not the case. They have undertaken a calculation which they were required to under the legislation that was passed, but it is not a requirement. It is a calculation that they have made identifying what they believe to be developable land and have a rather complicated formula to determine a number of units. So we will address that in 2 weeks in detail.
And if I may add that at least one of the locations identified by the state is in the reservoir on Chimney Rock Road, so there'll probably be a houseboat up there. But seriously, we are taking this very, very seriously. We will be prepared to respond on the meeting of the 30th, and that's as much as I want to add at this point.
You get a couple houseboats there.
Couple, that's right. Maybe we can rent pontoon boats. Yeah, we can make it. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council?
Mr. President, just one other comment on this. It's important to also note that what will happen on January 30th is in a broader context. It's in a broader context, which is that over a period of many, many years, under the guidance of our law firm, we have been compliant. We are, relatively speaking, coming to this from a position of strength, and that's the reason why we have not seen the type of extensive building and growth that has had to occur in some of our neighboring towns, giving Warren and Branchburg as examples. So, we're going to address this. We've been addressing this, but this has been, a 20-year or more saga, correct, Chris?
Yeah, it has
More
been,
like-
and
more
when
like-
we fight daily, especially two individuals fight daily, so.
Okay, thank you. Haven't seen you in a couple of years.
Council members. My name is Curtis Kraut. I live on Adamsville Road, 199 Adamsville Road. The reason I'm here this evening is because of I'm hopeful that maybe the council can maybe set some clearer ground rules for a specific topic. And so I've been at my current address for 39 years. And basically, I'm trying to keep my neighbors informed of the development on an adjoining property, which is the Graymark property. It's the Graymark track along Route 22 eastbound. There's a single building on the property, and there's a current application before the zoning board to possibly install a 180,000 square foot warehouse. Back in October, I believe, of 2022, the council passed a master plan change, basically disallowing the use of warehousing along the Route 2022 corridors, the M1 zones. This is an M1B zone. And now, present day, we're currently 13 months into the review of an application before the zoning board to develop that property for a warehouse. I became aware back in late November that essentially there was a parallel process that's been started at the request of the council to designate the property as an area in need of redevelopment. And that process was started, I guess, last summer. And I was totally unaware of it because I've been honestly very focused on all the delays and public meetings associated with the zoning board application. I had no idea that the AINR process had been instituted by, or at least initiated by you guys, and parsed out to a contractor, Michael Sullivan, who is a redevelopment planner, I believe, that the township has coordinated with. He produced a report, and that report became the basis of the planning board to recommend to the council that that area be designated an area in need of redevelopment. And in fact, at the council meeting on December 5th of last year, the council did approve that request and designated that property as an area in need of redevelopment. What brings me here tonight is that the process is, at this point, going down 3 separate paths from my point of view as a member of the public. And it's really getting very difficult to follow the changes unless we in the public are very aware of the full process and potential for public input at meetings, either through the planning board, who will eventually make recommendations to the council regarding the AINR plan that's been authorized by the council to come up to develop an AINR plan. And so I'm assuming that the consulting planner, Michael Sullivan, is going to be producing a report. And the report is going to probably take input from the owner of the property, possibly council members, but the public, myself included, are really sort of at a loss in terms of understanding at what point we will have the opportunity to insert ourselves in the process and at least critique or provide input with regard to the initial draft that Mr. Sullivan is presumably producing. So there is no schedule that I've seen in terms of Mr. Sullivan's process to develop a plan, and public meetings haven't been announced. And as far as I understand with the AINR process, there is a different notification requirement than typically part of the planning board and zoning board meetings. So I have not seen public notices, I guess, specifically about the AINR. I'm not saying that they didn't happen, but I was not prepared to look for them. And going forward, I'm asking the council if there's something that can be done within the township from an administrative perspective, such as that when Mr. Sullivan has prepared his AINR report, not the report, but the plan, which I'm assuming is what the next step is, that he can post that plan on a publicly available location, such as that's used by the planning office. Right now, there's a subfolder that's on the network drive that's available to the public, and it's labeled AINR projects, and it has basically 3 preliminary reports that were all generated by Mr. Sullivan, one for the Ethicon site, one for this site, and one for the Yardway site. So I'm assuming that since you approved this this process to go forward and designated that AINR is to be the foundation for this new plan, I'm trying to find out at what point we can actually see a preliminary draft of this plan that's produced by Mr. Sullivan, other than waiting for an agenda to come out the night before a meeting. The plan that Mr. Sullivan put together on this property is 113 pages long. And
I'm going to ask Mr. Pappas to provide a response for you.
If you want to let Mr. Kraut finish so I can address maybe all of his questions.
I'm sorry?
Till you finished, and then I would try to address all of your questions.
So, I mean, I'm not very knowledgeable about the project that's currently in process with the zoning board. I know about the history of the projects on this site. and what I personally want to see and what a lot of my neighbors do or don't want to see. I'm just trying to find out at what point, since it's in parallel with the current zoning board application, which has not yet been withdrawn to my knowledge, and it's been scheduled for February 11th, which is a month from now, or what, little less than a month from now. What opportunity are we going to get to see Mr. Sullivan's work product as early as possible so that we could at least read it and provide some intelligent feedback about the viability or do's, likes, dislikes, whatever, in terms of what's going to be incorporated. Because as far as I understand, if the AINR process is instituted, which it has been for this site, then once this plan is formulated, then that's what's going to have to, a developer will have to use to put a project together. And, I'm assuming that maybe they're part of the process to some degree, but the public at the moment isn't part of that process. So I'm sure, the milestones are going to be that the AINR plan is going to get put together, and there's going to be a process for that. And then I would assume subsequent to that, there's actually going to be an application that's put forth by the developer for whatever, either in agreement with what the AINR plan specifies or not. In which case, I guess this can go to litigation or something like that down the road. And I know that that's already in process against the township. So there's at least 3 directions this is all going at the same time. So anything that the council can do in terms of at least smoothing the communication channels out so that the public is aware of the work product of Mr. Sullivan as early as possible so we can comment on it at public meetings, it would be highly desirable.
A month or so ago, Mr. Kraut stopped by and we had a lengthy meeting, and I did describe and went through each of the points that he raised here tonight and tried to summarize in detail, I think, the process and that, and then he came by, I guess, a few weeks later, and the mayor was here, and he had an impromptu meeting with the mayor, and I think the mayor did the same thing. But just as an emphasis, with regard to the Graymark property, Mr. Kraut is correct. Mr. Sullivan is drafting a report. That report has not been completed. He is finalizing it and would then share it with the planning board. Once it's put on the planning board agenda, that has to be, I think it's either 10 or 14 days advance notice, and that document would be available to the public, and that would be noted in the planning board agendas. I think, Mr. Kraut, you are on the list getting the notifications of both land use boards. And I understand that you're busy and you don't necessarily go through your email in detail, but that's what we've done to try to make the information available to the public beyond what is required by law. And so when that is finalized and presented to the planning board does have a public hearing, and that then members of the public would be able to provide comment, and then the board would consider those comments and either act or decide not to act or modify whatever Mr. Sullivan has presented, and then depending upon the planning board's action would then come back to the council. So that's what we described, what we discussed, and I understand his interest in this and try to ensure that he's made aware of what's happening. But there's no scheduled date yet. It would be likely at a regular planning board meeting.
Mr. Sullivan is, in fact, doing the plan. Or
He's drafting something for the planning board to review. That's the process. He has to draft something based upon his expertise.
There are no milestones have been established as to when he's going to get a first draft or something like that?
No, he's working on it, but there's no date that he's given us. He's hoping in a few weeks. It could be a month.
I'm just trying to gauge time.
I understand.
As a member of the public, all I can do is poll things, for lack of computer terms, but I have to constantly look at public notices. I go to the planning office. I do my own research, which is a lot, and then, and I still don't know the basic, time frame, and I want to keep people informed.
I've told you all that I can, and we're not withholding any information. There's no date, and when there's a date, it will be on a planning board agenda.
And will be distributed
You
via
will
the
have every
email.
opportunity to get,
Yes.
to get insight as to when meetings will be held. You will not be left out of the process.
And it would not be, there's no plan to have a special planning board meeting where this would be heard. It would be one of the regularly scheduled meetings that have already, the schedule's already been approved.
So you think it'll be a special plan?
No, I'm saying
No.
it,
Be a regular meeting?
yes.
A regular planning board meeting.
And just for context, I'm the planning board member from council. I get the agenda same as everybody else, and I get the information same as anybody else. So, I have the list of dates, I get the notices, so whether this is ready to be heard in February or March, I don't know. As soon as it's available, it's placed on agenda, and that's how I know about it, that's how the planning board members know about it, that's how the public knows about it.
Right, but you're in a better position because of the requirements that the applicant has for a zoning or planning board application to submit X number of copies for all the board members to review ahead of time. And the public is not aware of that until the agenda comes out, which my experience has been comes out the Friday before.
That's about when we get our packets, is the Thursday or Friday before a Tuesday meeting. So I'm not getting it any sooner. That's when the material's available.
I take my responsibility as a knowledgeable member of the public to educate myself as early as possible. Because when I get in front of you guys, I want to have facts and I want to be able to.
We appreciate that, Mr. Kraus.
Huh?
We appreciate the fact that you take this matter very seriously and that you do your homework, and that's to be applauded. The opportunity exists, you have access to the agendas, and you're provided with the same opportunities that the people on this side of the gate are to understand when meetings will be held.
Does Mr. Sullivan have office hours at the planning office? So it's not possible to meet with him or discuss it?
Oh, you and I
What his
discussed,
schedule is?
you and I discussed that when we met, and I
Well,
said that
I understand, but-
he's a consultant to the planning board, and he will be available to the public during the public hearing. And so he will be here, he will listen to questions and comments, but we did not, the engagement of Mr. Sullivan did not allow for him to have office hours for any number of members of the public to interact with him. It's not feasible.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Kraus, I want to thank you for your input, but I think you fully understand the opportunities that are available to you to understand the schedule and to participate at whatever degree you wish to.
Well, but there is no schedule at this point. I mean, it's an
That's
indeterminate
true.
schedule.
That's true, but when information does become available, it will be a matter of public notice, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else wishing to address the council?
Hello, Carolyn Joya, 1402 Paley Court. First of all, thank you for letting the previous speaker continue on until he felt his answers or his comments were adequately addressed. Thank you. Secondly, thank you for having this live stream because I used it tonight on my way over here. I apologize for being late, but there was snow on my car when I got out tonight, and it slowed me down. I was able to hear all of your reports, and it was very helpful, especially Councilman Pedroso's comment about the water, which was my main concern. And I understood that he brought up questions about why is it so hard to get information, and what can we do to be more proactive about getting information instead of waiting to read about it in the patch. So I want to reiterate that is my concern. I'm still drinking bottled water. I'm not comfortable. I can still taste it. And I really hope next week we'll have, or next meeting we'll have a more detailed answer as to what we're doing proactively to contact and figure out, is the water okay? or do we just assume it's okay? Secondly and lastly, thanks to the live stream, I was able to hear the reorg meeting. Unfortunately, Mayor Mensch is not here tonight. I was going to ask him about his comments about a number he threw out that we might need thousands of affordable housing units, and I was wondering where he was referencing that number from. So I thought the number was closer to the previous speakers, around 475 over 10 years. And then
Could you repeat what you thought, Mayor?
He said we will have to do hundreds or thousands of affordable housing units.
I think
Well,
what
it's
the mayor
not,
was
it's not
trying to
affordable
say-
units. It's, there's a formula.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of ways of accomplishing it. A municipality could exclusively build affordable units, but then those would need to be essentially at township expense and on township property. The other more common alternative that's chosen in most municipalities is a set aside of a certain number of market rate units, and I believe the formula is 4 to 1.
It's usually 10%. So
what?
you get a private developer who goes out and says, I'm going to build 100 homes, I'll make 10% of them affordable housing. So if you have to build 475 affordable housing and you follow a traditional builder model, you're looking at potentially 4,750 additional homes in this township that is being mandated on us by the state
Didn't we have
in order to
agreement that we
accomplish the
wouldn't do
475.
apartments, though, in Bridgewater? I don't
Say
think that
again,
could
please.
Didn't we have an agreement that we're not doing apartments in Bridgewater? That-
Didn't say apartments, 4,700
These are
homes, residential.
rental properties.
Okay. All right.
And we have been very successful over many years, going back over 30 years. So we have a lot of affordable housing homes. And we were compliant with the rules that existed right up until the end of last year, when the court system threw everything out and said, okay, we're going to decide that we need, and I'll use numbers that I think are 89,000 affordable homes. And what we're going to do is allocate them around by town, by town, by town, whether it's consistent with the way your town is, don't care. And they came up with 474 homes for us. Now, between now and, as I mentioned to the prior speakers, we are working diligently between now and the 30th of this month to come up with a plan to address those state requirements. We will be responding via resolution. This council will have a resolution. It is being prepared by a football team of people, whether it's the legal staff, whether it's the planner that we hired last year for affordable housing, or whether the administration. This is like a duck with the feet underwater. I mean, lots of stuff are happening, but come back for the 30th is the best thing I can say.
Right.
And not that all will reveal, but you'll know a heck of a lot more on the 30th
Right.
than you do today.
Okay. And that, we don't have any outstanding. I thought I read somewhere there was 130 that we were behind on. Is that also in? No?
No.
We're all up to date.
We're well ahead. We're 200 ahead.
Yeah. We're,
Okay. And my last
and we're very
question-
proud of that. When the last round was done, we were the first town to settle in Somerset County. I was there before Judge Miller when he opined on it. And
Project My Law Firm started in January of 2004 when Bill Savo was sworn in to sit in this chair. So.
Okay, so my last
21-year
comment then, sorry, excuse me. Thank you for clarifying that 1,000 number. I'm just going strictly on his words from the meeting. The other thing he had said is that we would possibly pursue litigation with the state if we couldn't come to a resolution as to what we think.
There's
is
multiple municipalities that are attempting to get a restraining order against the state for the affordable housing model that came
I
out.
think that they had a ruling on that this week, and it was turned down.
As of yesterday, I thought it was still, I'm not, you may,
There's another case moving. There's another
Okay.
case. You're right.
I try to keep up, but I'm not the best.
You're both right.
we are not alone in opposing this in whatever vehicle, in whatever arena we can, as are many, many other towns.
Exactly, and I understand, I'm in the legal business, I understand there are times when litigation is appropriate. However, as a resident, how do we pay for that? Is that already accounted for in the budget if we were to go down that road? That was my question. And would we be alerted ahead of time if that does turn out to be the best solution? So that was my final question. You don't have to answer it right now, but keep it in mind. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us. Someone else wishing to address the council?
Yes, John Arcolio, 1110 Washington Valley Road in Bridgewater. I guess 4 quick topics I want to go over. One is the concept of freedom, environment and sustainability, aid to first responders, and the aforementioned, we've been talking about affordable housing. So first I want to go over freedom. I mean, I've been spending a lot of time reading Timothy Snyder's book on tyranny, on freedom, and he's an expert on that situation, studying in Eastern Europe. He describes many different aspects, types, and characteristics of freedom. Just this year, the council reduced the amount of time that people could speak in front of the council from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. So we now have an old...
Sorry, just want to clarify. The council last year increased from 2 to 3.
Somebody said it was 2 minutes for this year.
Right.
And everybody
What I
so
have
far has
said,
exceeded that.
The president of the council, by our bylaws, decides how long the open for the public meeting. It has been 2 minutes for a number of years. Last year, Timothy changed it to 3 minutes. I made it 2 minutes, but I have, as I have said, in fact, I will be willing to wait. I don't want to get to the situation where I change it to a specific time, and then somebody says, I'm going to get up and read from Charles Dickens for 2 to 4 minutes, a filibuster. And then I'll get around to talking about what I really want to talk about. I would like and appreciate people to come up and be focused on what they want. The previous gentleman, he spoke for 15 minutes, and that was okay because he had a specific... You can talk if you have something that you want to share with this council that's a content and related to the township. I want to hear about it. They want to hear about it. But I don't want you to come up here and just say, I can take my time and they don't have to worry about it because their time is not important. Our time is important, as is yours.
I understand your time is very valuable, taking time away from your families to do public service. I'm very appreciative of that fact. Second one is environment and sustainability. I've been doing some open records requests, and I can't see that the Environmental Commission met at all this last year. Is that correct, Mr. Pappas? I mean, nothing? They did not meet? I mean, that's a norm and standard for every town across the state to have an environmental commission that meets and acts upon things. And I don't want to get to just sustainability. I mean, I'm pretty much very adamant about climate change and sustainability. I'd really like you guys to get your act together on sustainability and the Environmental Commission. Third one is aid for the first responders. Going back historically, this council was donating $72,000 to first aid squads in the township up until 2009. When 2010 came along, we had a new member to the council, Matt Mensch. He cut the number down to $40,000. In 2011, they decided to raise it to $50,000, where it has been since 2011. I really think you people have to revisit that in the budget to up that aid for first responders. I think Tim understands where I'm coming from.
Just to clarify, you're looking at a line item number in the budget. I can't go back very far historically, but I don't remember if it was 2023-ish.
Total is $50,000.
The total amount, however, there was a reduction because one of the organizations in a neighboring town stopped receiving money, so there was actually a 25% increase to each of the township-based organizations.
Still woefully inadequate.
As I reported at my council reports, we have a EMS advisory committee who's currently working on a number of different things as it relates to EMS, which is where your question is directed.
Oh, I think going to $50,000 for the last 13 years, I think you really got to revisit that number seriously. Mr. Pappas, that's your responsibility to determine a budget, I guess, in conjunction with the council?
The administration presents a budget, and then the council reviews it and approves.
Forget, there are two components. One is the amount of money that goes directly to the squad for maintenance, but the other is the length of service award program, which is money in the pocket of the individual squad members.
Well, it's, I don't think most of the volunteers and the rescue squads do it for the LoSAP money. I appreciate that information. Last but not least, I guess we'll just touch on affordable housing. On the 2nd of January, Mayor Mensch came out in a very ballistic fashion talking about fighting and all the bad things about affordable housing. Granted, he runs a law firm and he has a partner that was the lawyer who presented the hearing to the Supreme Court of New Jersey. He knew earlier in that day that he lost in that opinion, and he still went out here and gave a ballistic, bombastic speech. We really want to avoid litigation and fighting. We really want to get to a reasonable number of affordable housing units that we should have, and that's about all I have to say.
Okay. As you're aware, as I've said repeatedly, on the 30th, all shall be revealed. So.
Yeah, okay, but that's it. I mean, just I hear one thing from the mayor, and I just don't think it reflects the majority of people in the township's ideas about the role of affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else wishing to address the council?
Good evening and Happy New Year. Jen Lochran. I live off of Talamini Road, so I just wanted to lead.
Sign in, Jen.
Yeah, I'll do that. I just wanted to lead with gratitude for the decision to replace the stop sign and the future outlook for a stoplight there. I know that Deanna and I, she ran to her phone to go look up the previous comments for town council, so she's also very enthusiastic. That was really what I had. I did want to congratulate you for taking the role of president and also Mr. Pedroso, and appreciate you being there on Tuesday, Mr. Kirsch. The last thing I wanted to add was, as you look at redevelopment, I just hope that you consider activities, recreational activities like skateboarding and bike riding, particularly over at the, what's the name of the facility over on Country Club with the big path that we were talking about? Ethicon, because they have that big property over there with a lot of pathways, and there's really not a lot of places for kids to ride bikes in that area. So it would be great to be able to utilize that space. And I appreciate it this time, and I hope you have a good night.
Mr. Norgalis, may I just correct something from Ms. Lochran? You mentioned the intersection of Talamini and Country Club, and I think you mentioned traffic light. That's not what was described. What was described is there's a utility pole on the corner that a street light has been requested to be installed there.
Okay, yeah, we
Not a traffic light.
Really happy to see that pole go though, and we do need some more light over in that corner. So we'll take what we can get. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the council?
Seeing no one, move to close public comment.
Second, please.
Second.
Oh, okay. All those in
Councilman
favor?
Cardillo did.
Close Public input?
Aye.
Aye. We are closed to the public. Thank you. For the item number 10, the public hearings and final action for ordinances, we have none. Item 11, introduction of new ordinances, we have none. Resolutions, moving to item 12A, acknowledging the Township Council's review of salaries for the Board of Fire Commissioners of Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the year 2025. Could I have a motion to introduce this, please?
I will gladly move 12A. Would you like my comments now or wait?
No, hold it.
Okay.
Can I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second, okay. We're open for comments now.
So, this is, we've been doing this a couple years now. It's a state requirement. I scratched my head with it. Just for the public's benefit, we're not approving, we're acknowledging. And I think it's also important to note the salaries in here are not set by the township, they're set by the individual fire districts, nor are the funds that are used to pay these salaries come out of township funds, they come out of fire district funds. So,
Okay. From my perspective, this is the state kicking the can for whatever reason. The state is the organization that opines and approves the fire commission budgets. For whatever reason, they've decided that the commission salaries is something different from everything else and have tossed the ball back to the councils to review it, as Mr. Ring says. To give you an idea what we're talking about here, I'm going to go through the various fire commissions. Fire Commissioner number 1, which is Martinsville, 3 of the members get $5,000 a year, 2 of the members get $4,500 a year. Moving to District 2, which is Bradley Gardens, they use a different metric. They have $220 per meeting for 3 of the members and $150 per meeting for 2 of them. Moving to District 3, which involves Green Knoll, North Branch, and Country Hills, across the board, they provide $4,000 in salary to everybody. Moving to District 4, 3 of the members get $3,000 and 2 of the members get $2,600. So we're not talking immense amounts of money. One of the things I said last year that I hope that everybody gets a W-2 or a 1099 for this money so it can be accounted for as far as the IRS is concerned. I have been told that everybody does, but it's not our job to go back and look. So at this point, we are required. Now, what I've been told, if we do not concur in the recognition of these salaries, that the budget will not be approved for the fire commissions to be able to operate. So we would be standing between you and fire service, and we're not going to do that. Are there any other comments? Otherwise, I want to move to a vote.
I just want to comment, well, we don't set these numbers, and the Fire Commission is an independent body elected by the public. So, yeah, and I just wanted to make a comment that congratulations to Councilman Cardilla for being on the low end of the salary spectrum compared to your other fire commissioners. So anyway, but I want to thank all the fire commissioners for their service to the town, and certainly kind of reminds me, goes without saying, I want to thank all the men and women who volunteer in our numerous fire departments and first aid services in Bridgewater. Their service is invaluable. They commit a lot of time and energy and effort to serving our community, and so they deserve our gratitude.
In the past, while he lived in 8 different parts of Bridgewater, Mr. Pedrosa was a rescue squad member. Tim is a rescue squad member. Alan and I have been fire department folks, so we understand, I think, public service.
got to get Michael with the game.
Pardon?
Got to get Michael with the game.
That might not improve public safety, so you have to know your
Can
role.
we have a roll call, please, on 12A?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Since I'm listed on the list, I think I have to,
Yeah, but in my opinion, you do not have to recuse on this. You're voting on not specifically for you, you're part of the global operation.
then I absolutely vote yes.
Okay.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. Moving to 12B, amending Resolution 25-01-02-040 and modifying Joan Flynn as the representative and Robert Devaney as the alternate for the Somerset Regional Animal Shelter Management Committee appointments.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes,
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. C, authorizing an award of contract to Round Hill Risk Partners, LLC of 788 Morris Turnpike, Suite 101, Short Hills, New Jersey, 07078, to serve as the Township Risk Manager for Health Insurance Services for a term of 1 year commencing on January 1st, 2025, and that is at no cost to the township.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes,
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. D is authorizing an award of contract to North American Insurance Management, also known as NAIM, doing business as Irishore New Jersey Partners Insurance Services, LLC, of 1460 Route 9 North, Suite 310, Woodbridge, New Jersey, 07095, to serve as the township's risk manager for property and casualty insurance services for a term of 1 year, commencing on January 1st, 2025, pursuant to the fair and open process as defined by NJSA 19:44A-20.7 at no cost to the township. Any discussion? If not, may I have a motion on 12D, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Second. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. E is authorizing the execution of an agreement with the soccer centers located at 300 Memorial Drive, Somerset, New Jersey, and Township Recreation Department for the spring and fall travel in-town Junior Panthers, high school, adult, summer, and field hockey programs. Soccer centers will provide the use of turf fields, referees, and trainers at a cost not to exceed $153,350. The aforementioned expense will be paid through the registration fees in the Soccer Recreation Trust Fund, resulting in no operating cost to Bridgewater Township for the year 2025. Could I have a motion on E, please?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. I
Oh.
just would like to, I guess, understand why we're contracting fields for the high school.
This is for the, this is for our recreation program, and we are able to, through the recreation program, utilize the fields.
Some of the activities take...
Some of them here and some of them,
We use their fields down there.
Yes, but this is saying, so, and consistent with the memo here, this agreement with the soccer center also covers the spring and fall high school program.
Yeah,
So
but it's
the
also-
soccer
It's
team,
also referees and trainers. It's more than
Yes.
just fields.
but I guess my question is, so through this agreement, we're procuring fields for the high school soccer team.
no, I think this is for the high school age. As I understand it, this is high school age. This
Okay.
is not necessarily the high school soccer program per se, yeah.
Any other discussion?
We should correct that so it's clear.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. F is authorizing an additional $80,000 to the Somerset County Road and Bridge Division for road salt for a total contract amount not to exceed $150,000 for the 2024 and 2025 winter season to be funded from the snow removal account.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. G is authorizing an additional $10,000 to Michael Sullivan of the firm Clark Catton Hints PC redevelopment planner for the professional service contract for the year of 2024 for a total not to exceed $20,000 to be funded from the legal services account. This is a catch-up, is it not, Mr. Pappas, for last year? He's been very busy. Any comments? Could I have a motion, please?
I'll motion
Motion.
12G.
And a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other comments? Roll call, please, on G.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso? Yes. Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. H is,
Sorry, before you do 12H, I just want to go in the right. I'm going to recuse myself from this as I've done in the past based upon being a member of the Elks and the recommendation from the state.
yes, sir. H, request for waiver of an open flame fire permit fee in the amount of $60, open fire pits permit fee in the amount of $60, and a special event permit fee in the amount of $100 for the Somerville Elks, 375 Union Avenue, Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807, for the Jack's Kids Tailgate fundraiser event on Saturday, January 18th, 2025. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Crush?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. We're now moving to item number 13, which is a litigation closed session. And let me get my boilerplate out.
You need, Howard, you need it?
I think I got it. Be it resolved by the Bridgewater Town Council that this body will now hold a closed meeting to discuss litigation and contract negotiations. There are two items, litigation for the waste transfer station and contract negotiation for affordable housing. When and if matters discussed become public record, this will be made known to the public at this time. The public is excluded from meeting and further notice thereof is dispensed, all within accordance with Section 8 and 4A of the Open Public Meetings Act. Could we have a motion to go to close session,
moved.
please? By the way, second?
I'll second it.
Okay, at the conclusion of the closed session, we will simply close that session. There will be no further business to be conducted in open session. Roll call, please, on closed session.
Councilman Crush?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. Let me make sure we're off. ladies and gentlemen, we're back on. We have closed the closed session. We are now at the point, there is no additional business before this body. And so,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
second, all those in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you very much for your participation.
You know, I'm just texting
The
Rob
last
Meter right now.
few minutes, maybe?
He said,
Or the whole time?
go do something nice, and like I'm doing
Or just now?
have beef and bok choy.
Fine.
Gerard makes me.